Hi there, welcome to today's tutorial on product photography settings for vibrant shots. So this is basically a part of my series on product photography, and this is about if you've just upgraded from a mobile to a proper digital camera. And there's 3 settings to get used to really optimize your shots. You can find out more about me on my website listed there, and let's get straight into it. So firstly, just to understand what you're doing with the settings, so everything you see in the visual field is a mixture of colour, light and shadow. So it's actually our job as photographers to control our cameras in such a way that displays the products in the most accurate and attractive manner. And this is done through controlling light. So this is where exposure comes in. Exposure is a process consisting of the amount of light which you allow to reach your camera's sensor and for how long. Controlling the light is essentially controlling your image because you can't see anything without light, of course. So the way you manipulate that light really can improve or actually worsen your photography. So this exposure and manipulation of light is comprised of 3 elements, which is the 3 settings. Number 1 is shutter speed, which controls and manipulates how movement is portrayed in your photography. The ISO is the static, the noise, which you can control up and down. We'll get into these shortly. And the aperture is the depth of field, how much of the background you can blur out or actually bring into a more clear focus. So firstly, with shutter speed, the shutter allows you to control how long the sensor is exposed to light. The time it stays open is what the shutter speed is, so the longer the camera is exposed to the light, the brighter the image will be, but the more time will be encapsulated into that moment, which would be like one of those blurry car shots. I'll show you that in a minute. So as I say, the longer it's open, the brighter the image will be, but it will become more blurred. So using a high stability using a tripod is required for product photography with longer exposure times, which is needed in darker environments. You need to let more light in to help out. So now onto the aperture. This function is a variable opening in the camera, allowing light to pass through the sensor. So a lower aperture, such as an f2.8, will blur the background out, which is actually a great thing to do for product shots because you really get the focus in. As you can see here, like the bouquet is really in focus with the background blurred out, really focusing your eye in on what you want the customer to buy. Going straight to the other end of the aperture, you'll bring everything into focus. You might have a bit of blur in the front, but you can play about with things to increase clarity, as you can see in this image here, which is really good for collections of items. And then lastly, onto ISO. This basically boosts the signal amplification, so a lower number like 200 will really reduce down the static you'll see and get a clear image, but it'll also decrease the light. So you want to compensate here by using a longer exposure of the shutter speed and use the tripod to get stability there. So you can really compensate one setting with another to get the best results. So in conclusion, as general advice for you product photographers out there, you want to combine a low ISO of 200 with a low aperture of f/4, for example, and then have a really nice long exposure with the shutter speed in combination of good lighting and a tripod to get a nice vibrant shot with low static and a nice focus on the subject. So thanks. If you have any questions, get back to me on my blog or here on YouTube. And a special thanks to Slides Carnival for the slides and the photographs by Unsplash here on the left. Great artwork. Thanks a lot. Bye.